Most people live inside a body but aren't truly embodied. And this happens for many different reasons, that our energy doesn't really incarnate into the body. Often it's because of past experiences, certain traumatic experiences that we have encountered in our childhood when we were growing up. And it causes the mind to perceive the body as a dangerous place or an unsafe place to be. So our mind is not really able to anchor within the body, causing us to not really be embodied. What happens then is that our mind gets overactive, we get anxious and restless inside the system, and our mind is constantly active and projecting itself outward. Now, the work that we do in the breath integration program, and also this is the aim of many of the traditional somatic modalities, is to actually bring the energy and the mind back into the body, because it's the breath that activates our energy system and it's the mind that directs our energy. So if we have a mind that is constantly projecting outward in our thoughts, in our imagination, then we're constantly leaking that energy to certain circumstances, certain thoughts, certain people that we're thinking about, or certain events in the future, but the energy is constantly leaking outwards somewhere else. So the work that we want to do, that we want to learn, is actually bring our energy back into the body and strengthen the energy field in that sense, and learn to anchor our system inside the body. And the first step is learning to work with the breath on a deeper and a more subtle level. This is again one of the principles that returns in every big tradition, whether you speak about yogic practice or the Taoist tradition. All of these modalities are focused on actually bringing the awareness to the breath so that the energy can settle and that your entire system and your mind can settle. Ultimately, the aim was to cultivate a higher level of efficiency within the body so that we can eventually do more intense and advanced work with the mind and our energy system. But the very foundation is the breath, and learning to settle the breath and anchor our awareness to the breath so that our awareness gets anchored into the body and doesn't constantly project outwards. And often when we start that type of work, what happens is that it's a gradual process of bringing that awareness back into the body. And this has to happen gradually because we cannot force the system. As soon as we start to force our system when we work with our energy and our nervous system, we start to overstimulate the system and it starts to stagnate and block. So if we want to do that process, it's all about finding the natural rhythm of the body and following the rhythm of the body so that we don't push it beyond the limitations. And this is also a tricky thing that we see nowadays, where a lot of people jump into various types of advanced practices without having prepared the body in the right way. So that process needs to be gradual. And in that process of bringing the energy back into the body, you will go through various layers of emotions, because there is a certain reason that the mind doesn't perceive the body to be safe and doesn't truly want to inhabit the space of the body. It's looking outward, it's looking for safety in the outer world, but it will never be able to find that safety there. It needs to find the safety inside the body. And a lot of that has to do with coming to terms with these feelings and emotions that we have within the system, which cause our mind initially to project outward. So a big part of that process is actually being present, observing and feeling those emotions that have caused the mind to not want to be inside the body. And the more we're able to do that, the more the mind will gradually descend into the body through various layers of emotions. And this can be all kinds of emotions. So it can be sadness and grief, or anger that might come up, or even sensations of numbness and boredom is also often one that a lot of people experience, where they don't feel a lot of excitement, because this is one of the things of the mind. The mind is always looking for excitement in the outer world. And one of the big aspects of this process is coming to term with the more mundane experience of life. So being able to be present also with maybe the boredom in the system, and learning to find wonder and curiosity in the mundane and the small things, which is, for a mind that is overexcited and overstimulated and always projected outward, is a very challenging thing in the beginning. So all of these emotions, when they start to be activated and start moving in the system, this is a very good sign. Often in the beginning, it can be quite challenging, and people might wonder like, hey, is something gone wrong in my practice? But no, this is actually a good thing, because like I said, the mind gradually needs to come back into the body, and it needs to go through these layers of emotions. Because when you look at the traditional systems, they always talk about the two aspects of the mind. We have the more mental aspect of the mind, so the thinking, the thoughts, but then we also have the emotional aspect of the mind. And traditionally, they were seen as two aspects of the mind, just different aspects. The thinking mind radiates outward, and the emotional mind gravitates back inward. So in our Western society, we have been taught to really utilize this mental and radiative aspect of the mind, where everything is about intention, it's about more, it's about doing a lot, it's about rationality and figuring everything out through the mind and through our thinking, which is wonderful. It gives us a lot of opportunities to create and manifest things in our lives. But the other aspect is the natural sort of contractive movement of the mind, where after the movement outward with our thinking, the mind also needs to come back into the body. And this is where our Western society and our upbringing is lacking a lot, because we haven't really learned to sort of settle into that process of the mind coming back into our system. And a lot of people get scared because of that, because we're so conditioned to sort of project ourselves outward and to find our safety in the outer world instead of resting within ourselves. We've subconsciously been trained that resting within ourselves is actually not a healthy, or sometimes maybe even a dangerous place to be. So this process is very important to learn to settle your system. It is also, like I said, a process that needs to develop gradually, where you follow the pace of the body. Because again, if we start forcing too much, we use too much intention of the mind, and we go again into the thinking and mental aspect of the mind. And we want to embrace the yin, or the emotional aspect of our mind, so that our system can start to settle, ground more, and everything comes into rest. So it's a lot about learning to switch from this mode of doing into a mode of being. And like I said, this is a gradual process. There's many different practices that you can use, but it's very important to have awareness on these two aspects, the active aspect of the mind and the passive aspect of the mind. Because in our society, a lot of focus is on the active part and not so much on the passive part. So this is one of the aspects that I help to people to cultivate in the breath integration program. So if you're interested in deepening your journey and your knowledge about the breath and how to utilize it to really anchor your awareness inside the body, so that your body and your nervous system and your energy system can start to settle, then follow the link in the description below. You can download the free program overview that describes the program, what we go through, and the different phases that we go through in the process. And you'll also find the next steps there to connect with me if you want to figure out if this work is relevant for you at this point in your life.